Cam from NZXT. Monitor your games while playing. To learn more, check out the description. Hey everyone, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for Badgers picks for the week of July 26th. We're going to see who's free this week and which 4 champions I'm going to recommend. Free this week, there will be Cassiopeia, Gragas, Irelia, Jhin, Katarina, Maokai, Sona, Soraka, Varus, and Xin Zhao. And for my first recommendation, I want to give that one over to Sona, who, as we all know right now, has a kind of ridiculous win rate. And in fact, while I talk about her, I'm going to look it up because I want to make sure it's still as good as it was. I assume it's not going anywhere, but it is, oh my god, yeah, it is 59%. She's very good right now. She's probably going to be getting a nerf, which would probably be tomorrow because, at least when the free week starts, because there should be a patch tomorrow if everything is on schedule. But even a nerf to her is still probably going to make her quite good. I've played her since the new changes. I remember reading over them vaguely, but I don't remember how it made her so much stronger than than where she previously was. She's been getting picked in the LCS. She did some pretty good work there, although I think Liquid mostly played. I'm not sure who else may have played her. I didn't catch all the matches over the week. But what I'm trying to say is, Sona's a lot stronger than you may think, or you probably know this because she's probably getting picked quite a lot. But basically, play her. She's very good. That's as generic and vague as I can make it, but it works. Try it out. My second recommendation for this week, going to give that one over to Jhin. Still really love him as an ADC. He was one of the OP picks from a patch or 2 ago. He's still very good. Hasn't seen any nerfs. Doesn't really need them. He's just a very strong, and one of the things that makes him strong, at least when I talked about him in the OP picks, was that you can play him and still have a lot of damage output from being further back in a fight and keeping yourself safe so you're not committing to bad engages or getting caught out, which is something that if you're new to ADC can be difficult at first, at least positioning and getting caught. Since Jhin can really participate without having to auto-attack, I know you should get in there and you should use your autos, they're very powerful, but because he doesn't necessarily need those to at least help out with fights, he is very impactful. You can stun people from long range or root them in place. You can use your ultimate, which will deal significant damage, and you can use it from very far away. It's a very, very good thing. You can just basically help the team out. And obviously his little traps can be very impactful if you just throw those down in fights where people just keep running around and keep stepping on them. They do significant damage, and usually people get caught up on them in the middle of a fight. It's kind of like how you can drop Caitlyn traps in the middle of a fight, and someone's going to step on one because things get so chaotic they can't avoid them occasionally. He can do the same thing too with his traps. Obviously he's very strong too if he does auto, like I said. So he's definitely a good pick and someone you should try out if you don't own him, since he is also a newer champion too. Try him out. Third recommendation for the week, gonna give that one over to Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, very strong, always has been. One of the best changes they ever made to her was when she never needed to buy boots ever again because you're a snake and boots make no sense, but that's good. Now she just scales really well, which is kind of nice that you never have to necessarily spend money on that stat, meaning you can get other items and actually get a true 6-item build. It's like a double whammy of amazingness because then when you get to the late game, you're gonna just outscale pretty much everyone, which we've seen plenty of in the LCS. She gets to the late game and she just completely rolls face. So if you like late game champions, she's probably one of the best. One of the other things too is I think she's one of the most fun champions you can pick to chase and solo people with. Something about poisoning and then twin fanging people to death while chasing is just incredibly satisfying, and it looks kind of cool too. She's a really good pick that honestly is underutilized a lot too. So probably should just pick her up and play her if you don't own her, or at least try her out this week, because I don't think she's someone who's ever going to pull tons of bans because she never really has a super high pick rate. So she could become like a pocket pick main if you wanted to do that, and a lot of people wouldn't be ready for it, and you probably could have a ton of success with it. So you should try her out this week. And finally, my last recommendation will be going over to Gragas. Gragas is kind of coming back in the meta ever since they nerfed Kindred, and who else did they nerf? Nidalee and a few others. He's been kind of coming back up as a top pick jungler, mostly because he hadn't gotten too many changes. Also, we did see him for a little bit in the top lane when the tankier tops were around, but he's kind of coming back in the jungle because now it's him and Rek'Sai are some of the better ones, along with Elise, for junglers that hadn't necessarily been nerfed super hard like the other top tier ones. But he's coming back, and I've always liked him. He's always done a really good job of having a good amount of crowd control and survivability and escape and engage and damage output for being pretty tanky, honestly. Kind of one of my favorite go-to junglers if I'm like, I don't know who to play, but who's a solid pick and can kind of be a little bit of everything. Gragas is kind of that pick in my opinion. Like I said, great damage if you build a little bit, but you don't necessarily need it because he has percentage damage. Always tanky, always has the good survivability because of his passive, which makes him a strong pick, and you can use his ultimate and his body slam for either disengage or engagement opportunities, meaning he just kind of fits almost any team comp. And one of the best things too is just sometimes people have a hard time finding people who can gank early or have successful ganks early. Gragas can level 2 gank incredibly well, so he's very good and isn't a champion you have to wait till 6 to necessarily go out and gank with. So he is a good pick and free. Try him out this week. Those are the 10 champions that are free. Those are the 4 I'm recommending. Obviously, play all of the champions that you want to play while they're free. If you don't own them, that's always a smart thing to do. Or just remember to play champions that you may have forgot about that you have and haven't played in a while. I think for me, I'm going to be playing some more Sona. I haven't played her in a long time, and now that she's got a huge win rate, and she's, I don't want to say more fun now, but she's a little bit more fun, I'm going to play her. Also, I am going to try to maybe play some more Cassiopeia, because she's good. As for the rest of the champions, I'll go over them briefly, let you know what I think of them. Aurelia, obviously a strong pick in the top lane right now. I never was really much of an Aurelia player. I mean, she's fine. I don't really care for her personally, but she's good if you want to play her. Katarina, kind of been falling out a little bit. She's also easy to counter, but she can get ahead and do plenty of damage, as we all know. Maokai is a good top lane tank. Unfortunately, those aren't the most picked right now, so you might want to avoid that if you want to look to play something else, maybe like that Irelia. Soraka, a decent pick. She had seen some nerfs because of her pick rate and win rate. Maybe would avoid her actually right now and just play Sona. Varus, always really fun. I like him in the mid lane. Build him as a poke damage dealer and siege really well. Really fun champion to play in my opinion. Not a lot of people play him. And then Xin Xiao, actually really good early ganker and lots of damage potential. Typically falls off a little bit late game. I know that sounds weird, but he falls off in the sense that if you do build him as full damage, he can just get blown up and not have a huge impact. It's up to you. It can be greedy, but it can work. Play him at your own risk. Those are the champions that are free. If there's a box around any of their portraits, that means you can click on it and it will take you to a build or a guide or any type of video for that champion. Other than that, I wish all of you the very best of luck this week on the Fields of Justice.